Okay, so now we're going to continue on with our table practice. So we just finished working with 3/8. We've practiced applying the right amount of heat to our 3/8 copper to where we keep that at a brazing temperature, and then we've practiced joining two pieces of 3/8 copper. So now we're going to move up to 7/8 copper, and that's what we're going to be working with for your training and practice. Now sometimes you will use a 3/4, and sometimes you will use 1 1/8 inches, but 7/8 is the most common, so that's what you're going to practice with. And again, I want you to do a lot of time training at the table before we ever move on to an actual unit. So the first thing that we want to do is get our regulators adjusted to the right pressure. If you'll remember, for a 3/8 copper, we had lowered our pressures down to about 2.5 to 3 on the acetylene and about 5 or 6 for oxygen. And what that did was lowered our heat ceiling for as high as that we could go so that we don't overheat our copper. But for 7/8, we're going to go back to that 5 and 10. And I've already got both tanks open. And so the way we're going to adjust those regulators, we're going to start with acetylene. So I'm going to open my red knob for the acetylene on my handle. And then I'm going to start turning clockwise on my knob until I get up to 5 on my pressure. When I turn that off, you'll see it goes a little bit higher, but as soon as we open that back up, it should drop right back down to our 5. Then we're going to do the same thing with the oxygen, except we're going to want to get to 10 on our oxygen. So I'm going to open my green knob on my handle and start cranking in the oxygen regulator until we get to 10. And once we turn that off, it'll go up a little bit. Turn it back on, it should drop right back down to our 10. So with 7/8 copper, the heating process is the same, but we are working with significantly higher temperatures and higher pressures. Lighting is going to be the same. I'm going to open till I hear just a very small flow of acetylene. I'm going to match that with a very small amount of oxygen. Way too much acetylene, not enough oxygen, so I'm going to increase my oxygen by barely turning my oxygen knob, and we're going to bring that up until we get to that reducing flame. But I'm going to warm that up a little bit, so I'm going to increase my acetylene and then increase my oxygen again. And let's see how that does. So again, we're looking for about 7 to 10 seconds on bringing our copper up to temperature. And what we're looking for is a good cherry red on our copper. There we're there. Again, we don't want to spend too much time in one spot. Once it comes up to cherry red, we should be able to back that way down. Right now I'm bringing my torch farther away from my copper, but the other way that we can do that is that we can reduce that oxygen acetylene pressure coming out of the torch head. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to start by backing off my oxygen. I'm going to close down my oxygen and then close my acetylene down until we get to that reducing flame again. And then let's go apply heat one more time. Good. Pretty easy to control that. I want you to go through and practice keeping that 7/8 copper up to a brazing temperature, which is the cherry red, without overheating and melting your copper. So same way as we melted that a hole in the 3/8, you can do the exact same thing with 7/8 very quickly. Turn off, I'm going to increase my oxygen and then turn off my acetylene and we don't get that loud pop.